there, viewers, and welcome back to the South Main Auto Channel. So we're on location. We got another mobile call. So we got called out to another shop this time, pretty close to ours, about 15 minutes away. They've got this 04 Hyundai Santa Fe. It's got the 2.7 in it, and it continually blows the ECU fuse, and they can't really make heads or tails as far as what's going on with it and why it keeps blowing this fuse. So you called me, asked me if we take a look at it. We got another one here. We got another Jeep Liberty we got to look at while we're here too, and figure out what's up with that. So I thought I'd bring you guys along. Everybody just kind of peeled out of here, and so now I can bust the camera out without feeling like a goonie, And so I'll kind of show you guys where I'm at, and we'll pick up right where I left off. All right, so when I got here, everything was tore off this engine. Of course you can tell, well, of course you guys can't see it, but all these metal clips, they had looked evidently on Identifix or something, and they said that it could be any of the engine sensors or whatever. So everything here was unplugged and the vehicle didn't run. So I had to take and kind of plug everything back in and get everything kind of propped up here, so I could start the vehicle and kind of see what's going on. Evidently they've been rattling through quite a few fuses trying to figure this out. I installed, so it's over here. I'll show you which fuse it is. Find the lid. Excuse me. So it's this fuse here, this 10 amp ECU fuse, and you can see there's several labeled ECU, but it's this 10 amp that we're dealing with that continually keeps blowing. So as opposed to blowing buckets of fuses, I just put a 10 amp circuit breaker in there, and then because it is semi-intermittent, it pops more often than not, I just threw an amp clamp on it because I kind of wanted to see what's going on. And personally, I think that's the best way to get an intermittent, is to watch on a scope and kind of see see what it's doing. What's the normal current draw of this circuit versus when it has its failure. Is it something that's kind of sketchy and then blows? Does it creep up slow? Does a certain accessory turn on and then it blows? So that's kind of what I want to know, and that's why I'm set up here, and that's kind of where I left off. Now I did pull up a wiring diagram. I'll show you guys that. I pulled up a power distribution because I wanted to see what this feeds. So it says ECU, but don't I guess take that with a grain of salt. I mean, because this thing could feed a host of other things, you just don't know. So let me show you that, and then we'll pick up from there. So we're gonna pop in here to a wiring diagram, and we're gonna go down to power distribution. I think it was on the third diagram, perhaps. I recognize it maybe when I see it. Yeah, I think it was on this diagram here. And the weather around here has been crazy. Yesterday we had a frost. It hit a high of 40. Today it's been 92. I don't do hot. Alright, so there we go. Let me zoom in so you guys can see this. So here is ECU fuse number 3 is how they're labeling it. So it's our 10 amp fuse. We see it comes down on a 2.7. It goes to the engine control module. And then it has another circuit over here that drops down, goes to the brake light switch with cruise control. So this one does have cruise. And then it also comes down to this joint connector C33, and then from there it feeds crank sensor, cam sensor, purge valve. That's a 2.4 and 3.5 only. 2427. Stupid Mitchell. Another cam sensor, canister vent valve, and mass airflow. And then it also feeds on this red with orange the actual cruise control unit itself. So we have a lot of variables as far as what it could be. So with that being said, we have options. Those options are, we have 3 independent legs coming off the bottom of the fuse box. In the event we get the fuse to blow, stay blown, continually blow high amperage draw, we could narrow it down to one of those 3 legs, therefore narrowing it down to the ECM stoplight switch, or is it going to be something that feeds off from this junction connector? So that's kind of my thoughts on that. Initially how I'd approach it, but I think first, because this is intermittent, that we're just going to do a wiggle test. So grab my computer out of here, so now that we have an idea, what the circuit runs, we have a way to approach the problem. And let me just shut my laptop there. And that is key in my opinion. So we're just going to use our Vantage for now, because we're just going to be looking at current draw. So we'll get this fired up. When I first got here, when the guy had all the stuff parted, he's kind of showing me what he was doing. You know, of course he's moving a lot of wire and looms are off and things like that. It was blowing the fuse, and then it stopped blowing the fuse. You know, he kept showing me, so I just, you know, kind of wait for everybody to peel out of here and kind of do our thing. You know, I work better by myself. Sometimes you get too many hands in the mix, and unfortunately now everything's been moved, and that is personally why I want to start with a wiggle test, because, you know, it was blowing fuses, but now it's not. You know, are we going to be able to see this? Hopefully. So we'll turn our amp clamp on here. The key's off right now. Oh man, there goes the subscriber. Even they got a phone. So I got it set up on a 20 amp scale, 10 amp breaker. We will turn the key on. Right now there's no current being drawn, and we'll see where it goes. Key's on. We did not blow the breaker, but when we initially turned it on, we did have a pretty big spike, which is interesting. But right now it's holding about 90 milliamps. I don't know if I can get this set up where we can all see it. Yeah, perhaps right there. Just bear with me a second. My lights. Let's see, so we're about 90 milliamps. Hopefully you guys can see that. Being that we know that it runs, you know, crank sensor, cam sensor, mass airflow, cruise, crank cam stuff, they're down this area. Some more stuff back there. We're just gonna take, oops, I should probably just put that in digital so you guys can see it, but sometimes if there is a glitch, we'll see it better on the graph. I got it on a 30-second screen. So that's our cruise unit that lives over here. I'm wiggling. Nothing. Got these sensors here. They're out position. That's airflow. That's a brake. Harness down here on top of the tranny. Oh, we just got a spike. Do you guys see that? Can you see that? Is that spike coming across the screen? That is something. Where am I? I'm down here by tranny cooler lines. There we go. So we're getting some noise there. Well, come on, little guy. Yeah, we're definitely getting a change here. Where are you? Where are you at, little guy? This harness here. This one's on top of the tranny. Getting some spikes out of it. Goes back here to the Prindle switch. Moving the wires on the Prindle switch. Not seeing anything there. They fork off from the Prindle switch. Oh, you sucker. Don't tell me I moved that wire, whatever it is. Air intake tube. Got some wires coming down here for something. Oh, there she goes. You see that? That's a big spike right there. I'm on a connector of some sort. Which connector is it? There's two connectors down here. Pretty filthy. Mounted to a metal bracket. Whatever it was, kicked the fuel pump and stuff on. So that's got to be that crank or something. Cam. The radiator hose is right in the way. Oh, there it goes again. Okay, alright, I think I isolated the connector. Yep. So there's a connector down here on the front of the head right behind the fan. I'll just move it again. Yeah, we're getting all kinds of big spikes out of that. And it's kicking the fuel pump on every time it does it. Alright. Well, I can't see a dang thing on it. Well, I'd like to see it short though. Am I just making a temporary connection and giving it? Well, it would make sense. see. Pull this training dipstick out of my way. The radiator hose. I'd like to see it short out completely, but it is taking a big amperage draw here. Fuel pump just kicked on. Oh yeah, we're spiking up, well above 20 amps. Sure would like to see it short out, whatever the heck it is. Boy. Come on. Blow the breaker. Find out what the heck it is. It's it's a freaking O2 sensor. This thing didn't say that it ran, unless this 10 amp, wow, I'm all zoomed in. I'll zoom you guys out. Unless this 10 amp that feeds it to the ECM, unless it runs the O2 heaters. That's interesting, because I am just wiggling. That is the downstream. Let's see if I can follow the wires here. I gotta give it the classic reach around here. Let me just make sure I'm on the right wire. Whoa! Ow! I see smoke. Yeah, we just blew the breaker. Yikes. And I see smoke. I touched something down there. Well, there's your problem, lady. I think I said ouch because I saw smoke. So I turned the key off. Let me shut my meter off because we did blow the breaker. That's what we were after. So let me shut my meter off. I can't see squat, but it's got to be in this O2 harness. So apparently the ECU through that 10 amp must feed this O2 heater. I would have never suspected that, I guess, right offhand. You guys probably can't see crap down here. I can't see anything either, so we're all in the same boat. I think it's in a metal bracket. It is. Wham bam, thank you ma'am, there's the bare wires. Did I just say wham bam, thank you ma'am? I think I did. Let me get this connector unplugged. Crap. Let me grab a pocket screwdriver. Oh, wait a minute, never mind. I found a pair of pliers right here on the floor. Gotta get this metal clip up out of here. Maybe. Well, you sucker. Son of a monkey. I can see the bare wires, they're all twisted up. And I'm wrong. I don't think I was feeling the O2 sensor wires. Let me give it the reacher out again here. No, I'm not. I'm wrong. These wires go back. This got to be a crank sensor or something. Yeah, the wires are just raw. She's raw, dog. It'd be nice if we could get this fan out of here, but I don't think we can with the, no, there's a ton of zip ties and crap around it. I wish I was in the shop. Well, let me see if I can get this connector undone. Show you guys what's up. Give you an idea where we're at. So right down there, let's see if we can enhance. Look at that. It's amazing this thing even ran. I had it running for a little bit too. So there's the bare wires. They head right towards the bell housing there. So I gotta believe that is the crank sensor harness. I don't know if this crank sensor has, well, you can't see it. Whoa! There is a, yeah, I don't even know where I'm at here on the camera. So you've got that harness right there. It's got all the crusty stuff on it. That's the harness that runs back in towards the bell housing. So I don't know if that's a sub harness or if this crank sensor comes with a harness on it. the connector is right there by my light. So that's the vehicle harness connector right there. But that's obviously the problem. We're done with this one. I'm going to look up to see if this crank sensor has a sub-harness or if that's part of the crankshaft sensor. Well, it's pretty quick and dirty on this one. Some days you get lucky, right? Sometimes better to be lucky than good. That's what I always say. Let's see, I guess we found it a mess. We'll leave it a mess. Now we're going to leave that unplugged. Of course, the vehicle probably will not run now. It's amazing that ran as it did with those wires all cheeked out like that. So the player's back on the ground. I'm going to wash my patties and look this up, but I think we're done. Alright, I think I found her. And it does. So that, I just looked it up on Napa just to have a picture of it. That is the crank sensor, and it does have its own little sub-harness. So that's good, and that's all I wanted to know. Because I didn't want to tell them it's, the crank sensor, and then, find out that there's a little, 6-inch jumper harness that runs to it. So, alright, well, that one, all in all, is pretty easy. But they don't always come like that. However, I think the key here is to know what that circuit runs. I can look around on the floor, and this looks like frustration. There's actually more over here. These are bigger fuses. So there's a whole handful of them here that they were blasting through. A couple ways you can find shorts. You do it like we did it because it wasn't shorted all the time, and that's the key. If it's shorted all the time, stick a light bulb in there. I don't have my light bulb right here. Oh yeah, it's actually up on those steps because that's what I thought we were going to have to do. Stick a light bulb in there and then start tracing current with your current clamp. You can use one of the wire tracing tools that emits a frequency and then follow the circuit that way. I haven't had a lot of good luck doing that on vehicles because of the size of the harnesses, and everything acts like like a giant antenna, particularly on some things like crank sensors, knock sensors, vehicle speed sensors, shielded circuits, forget about it. You're not going to find, you're not going to be able to trace that signal typically, at least with the equipment I have. I got the Power Probe, I don't know what they call it, the ETC 2000 or something. I've never had good success with it. I've always been able to find shorts and stuff a whole lot easier, using a current clamp, found the path of current, seeing which way it goes, and then, boom, you're done. I guess that's it. Nothing more to talk about on this one. Pretty simple. Know your stuff. Got to have a diagram. Don't have a diagram, you're just guessing. If you're just putting in a bunch of fuses till they blow, that's not really the greatest way to do it, but eventually you can get it. So anyhow, check us out on our socials, Google+, Facebook, and on Patreon. And just remember, viewers, if I can do it, you can do it. Thanks for watching.